Steve, they scored 51 points in the second half. Shot really well. What defensively? What went wrong on that end of the floor?
I mean, I haven't really watched the tape yet, and it's tough to remember some of the stuff. But I think, like Coach said in the locker room, just the bite wasn't there necessarily. Like he said, to end the first half, then all the way through the second half. I just think we didn't have enough grit, enough bite in that second half, and credit to them for taking it to us.
Go ahead.
Steve, John, both of you guys have played a lot of games in your college career. You know, after a loss like this in the final game of the season, what's the sentiment in the locker room, and kind of what's the response you guys need now going over the next few days?
Yeah, it's definitely not the result we wanted. It sucks, honestly, but this is a time where we learn from it, and it would have been great to get this senior night win and all that stuff, but this is just another part of the road, and we just got to learn from this adversity and be ready for next week.
Michael?
Steve, a lot of missed layups in this game, I guess. What did they do to bother you inside, and especially just with the way that you started? How did they kind of adjust on you?
I mean, I don't know if they did necessarily much. I think I scored a lot of my points in the second half also, but it's just basketball. I think you're not going to make every shot, so some of them didn't roll our way necessarily, but credit to big fella. He kind of contested, blocked a lot of shots for us, and he's a good presence in there, but the ball just didn't roll our way tonight.
Go ahead.
I would like to ask both of you this question. When you have a tough second half like that, offensively, shooting-wise, assist-wise, what would be your preference, to just flush this game and move on at this point of the season, knowing what you have in front of you, or do you want to kind of break some of that down and confront it and look at it?
I think we got to confront it, especially some of us older guys. You definitely don't want to get beat twice with the same type of thing and mindset. So we'll definitely have to face this one, look ourselves in the mirror, and be ready for next week.
Jim, fellas in the yep.
I was hoping they could both.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have a?
I mean, what John said.
Sorry. Let's go.
Steve, Max does so much for this team. How much does it hurt not having him out there, and how much does it change if he comes back for the postseason or when he comes back?
Yeah, no, we're really looking forward to having him back. Just kind of the heart and soul of the team he's been for the last couple of years, and just another weapon we could add to the fold out there, and especially on the defensive end, I think is where he really helps us. So, we're just looking forward to having him back, hopefully in the Big Ten tournament and making a little bit of a run. So, go
ahead then, Mike.
Steve or John, for either of you guys, the last couple of losses, the last three specifically, second halves have kind of been, a talking point where you guys get out to an early lead and then, fall short in the second half. Has there been maybe a similar theme or a common theme that you guys can kind of identify in those losses? And what is it maybe in those second halves you need to address?
I just think, being aggressive the whole way through and not being up and down with the flow of the game, but just having the same mentality throughout that we just have to be aggressive and really attack and not ever, get on our heels.
Michael?
Steve, regarding injuries again, what changed about the dynamic you guys can bring out when no one kind of went off the floor?
I think just having that backup another post presence, I should say, obviously hurts and kind of ruins your rhythm a little bit when a guy goes down and don't have the usual substitutions that happen during a game, but that really shouldn't affect us too much. We're all basketball players. The guys that were out there should have got it done for sure.
Andrew in the back.
Obviously not the result you wanted, but taking kind of a bigger picture from it, I heard some of your messages on the video board. Just how much did today mean to you to have your families here? And John, I know I said your family in the stands, Steve, I would assume, and just kind of taking a step back, what does all of this mean in the grander scheme of things?
I mean, it sucks, and it's hard to kind of see the bigger picture at times, but I think it's a blessing to be able to be in this position, have family here to support us, and I mean, this is a huge moment regardless of how the game went. It's bigger than that, so definitely there is still a little bit of light in it.
Well, I'm going to first of all give credit to Penn State. I thought they were, specifically the back part of the first half and the whole 20 minutes of the second half, a much more aggressive team, much more physical team. They played with some desperation. Obviously, I think it's probably their last game if they're not qualifying for the Big Ten tournament, but and disappointed in our response to it, of how we didn't have bite to us. How we did early, and for whatever reason it dissipated, and we gave them so much confidence at the end of the first half. With, I think we were up 40-27. We don't score for 10 straight possessions. They go on an 8-0 run. Baldwin hits his only bucket on the last play of the half. And that gave them confidence to come out in the second half, and they knocked down some shots and were in a dogfight. So, again, I'll just credit to them. And we've got to regroup here and dust ourselves off. And this one stings because we, for our seniors and for our fans and everybody, not the performance that we wanted nor desired. We're better than this, and we got to, especially defensively, get back to having our bite to us and our teeth. And again, that's credit to Penn State to really coming at us and us not responding. So with that, I'll take questions.
Michael?
You guys missed a lot of playoffs in this game. I guess what is that a result of, in your opinion?
Some of them we drove too deep. I mean, I thought Conan is a really good player. I mean, he's shot blocker, lob catcher. So some of them we drove too deep, where we just teed him up for him to block. So we've got to understand, as I watch the film, I'll break that down and show him where you get there and you got a 7-footer that's got arms for 7.5 feet. You're not going to win that. He's going to pin that against the glass. So you get there, you draw help, somebody's open. Right? Somebody's open. So is it the big that he rolled off of? Is it somebody on the perimeter? So that was the biggest culprit. I felt we went too deep and tried to go through him at times. We needed to get him. We were better when we had a 5 on him in terms of with post play, which I didn't feel we were aggressive enough in the post. But in terms of the dribble penetration, when we did get there, we had, I think we were 5 for 22 from 2 in our 4 or 5 guards, I was told. So, some of that's missing some chippies, and it's him too, impacting at the rim.
Donnie?
Up here?
Yeah.
How you doing, Greg? Can you talk
Not
a little bit
good.
more about talk a little bit more about Niederhauser's impact on the game on both sides of the ball, and also, how do you think Steven played that matchup, and what do you think he could?
Yeah, I mean, obviously from the defensive side, I thought Niederhauser was good, and that's what I saw on tape. That he's a shot blocker, and the people that I've talked to, obviously not seeing him in person until March. All the reports on him were he's a really good player. In terms of what the offensive side of him, he was a recipient of our defensive breakdowns. We get spread out too much. We bid on shot fakes of guys that are not shooters. And we have dribble penetration come, and if we're rotating off of him, he's catching a lob, or sometimes we had nobody stopping the ball. So we were I'll look through the film, but we were too spread out away from, obviously we wanted to stay pretty well attached with Dunn and Hicks and Baldwin when he had the ball, but too many gaps, too much dribble penetration. Times we switched things we didn't need to switch. Like I said, we just never got our footing after that first 10, 15 minutes defensively. I felt we were kind of walking on ice. We just couldn't get them under control. And like I said, that's credit to them that they were aggressively at us, and we didn't respond. And schematically, get the ball stopped is priority number one.
Coach, in the last 3 losses, second halves have kind of been a talking point. You've mentioned before the aggressiveness where you feel like it hasn't carried over to the second halves at times, specifically with the bigs. Where do you think that needs to improve, and why do you think that maybe hasn't come recently?
They're all different individually, personality-wise, so they're all wired a little different. I think, today it wasn't as much about the aggressiveness offensively. I thought we had some decent looks. It was the defensive bite to us that we didn't have, and that was across the board. I mean, that wasn't one person specific or one position specific. That was across the board. And I thought we fouled too much. We let Baldwin reject screens, which is taboo and puts us in positions to foul and giving up a layup, going away from a ball screen. So just, and I thought we got sloppy with the ball early too. We were trying to, break their pressure and we make passes that have no business being made in transition. With them still pursuing the ball in transition. And like I said, just that back half of the first half, and specifically the last 5 minutes or so, set the tone for just pouring confidence into what they were doing. And that's where the tide started to turn. Even though we had a lead at halftime, I didn't feel good about what was happening.
Mark?
Nolan, I don't think he played the last 11 minutes or so. What was ailing him? And second part of that is, without him, without Max, is there kind of a...
Yeah, we're a different team. We're a different team. I mean, something happened. I don't know what. I haven't talked to the trainer specifically yet when he had that tip dunk, whether he hurt his arm or his shoulder. I don't know exactly yet, so I haven't had a chance to meet with our trainers and doctors. And I put him back in. I didn't feel he looked the same. I thought he was, something obviously was bothering him. Let's see what I'll learn more here over the next, maybe later today or over the weekend.
I'm sorry, the second part of that was just, I want to get your thoughts on just the impact when guys are playing more minutes, when you don't have those...
Well, I mean, they're starting for a reason, right? Because they're our best 5 players. So you have 2 starters that, one here we've missed for 3 games, and then you have another. It puts more pressure on Steve. He's got to play more minutes because we don't have, there's another big that's out of the lineup. I went to Gilmore more at the 5 in the second half when Nolan was out. It's a domino effect. And obviously those 5 that walk out to start the game, they're out there for a reason, and we need to have those guys out there. And then the guys off the bench, need to continue to contribute in positive ways.
Andrew in the back, Coach.
When you lose a game in this manner, does that give you confidence that going into the Big Ten tournament they will have kind of that bite that you're talking about and maybe more inspired play?
Well, we're going to find out. We'll see the response. We'll be able to find out Thursday or Friday whenever we play, what our response is. And I think knowing those guys, this is not a good day, in terms of that 40 minutes. But as I told them, there's a lot of people that have helped put them in position. I don't want any powders or, pouty looks coming out of the locker room. Go spend time with those friends and family that have helped you get to this point, and we have no one to blame but ourselves, myself included. So I got to continue to push buttons and find ways, and we got to get healthy. And that'll hopefully here in the next 4 or 5 days we can get back to full health.
Go ahead, right up front, Coach.
With all your experience, I wonder how you approach this then as a coach. Do you use this almost like a midterm? You really nitpick this game and use it to fuel, or do you flush the negatives to keep their confidence?
We'll learn from it. I mean, we'll watch whether we, play really well or poorly. We always, we grade them all the same and we evaluate them the same. So, there's going to be, I'm sure, a lot of teaching from this, and but it's and then we got to, like I told them, we're lucky we get to play again, but from here on out, we play like this, you won't play long. So we know how good we can be, but we've got to be able to respond from this, because this is obviously not how you want to have a senior day. I feel bad for those guys because that's not anything anybody wanted.
Jim in the back.
Greg, you had that 4-day stretch where you beat Purdue and Illinois, and it seemed to be kind of ready to take that next step.
Mm-hmm.
And Max's injury probably is a big factor, but do you feel like your team's leveled off, or is it more than Max's injury? Is it or no?
It's hard Jim, to evaluate it when you don't. Is it or is it not? Because he's not back. I felt obviously the end of the Oregon game, we didn't finish that one out. I thought we played well enough at Michigan State. We just didn't shoot the ball well. We're always going to be in a grinder with Minnesota, and then sometimes the senior day responses those can be I've seen all gamuts of emotion on senior day, and but that's not an excuse. The credit goes to Penn State. Like I said, they came right at us, and especially after that first 10, 12 minutes, we didn't have the bite to us and go back at them. Specifically on the defensive end, our defensive end, I felt we let them get too comfortable. So I think as you evaluate it, Jim, each of them you evaluate them individually, right? Because we've seen. I remember when 14 we lost the last regular season game at Nebraska, and then it was kind of a all right bouncing point, so to speak. So, like I said, the response will be the big thing, and I have full faith that these guys will respond because they're competitive. They know this is not, this wasn't a good performance, and we'll flush it, but we also got to learn from it. You can't just completely ignore it. We will learn from it and then move on to whatever's next.